YouTubers, it's Fortune Cookie 45LC coming to you from the Hot Lead Zone. And today's topic is a video request from Ouwhackemann, who's a shooter friend of ours in Germany. And also from STLAmmo Man, who's a shooter friend from the Midwest or the St. Louis area, I'm assuming. And their video request is, what's the best way to change the sizing die in a RCBS LUBE-A-MATIC 2 sizer lubricator? And how do you adjust it? So here we go. Now this LUBE-A-MATIC 2 currently is set up for 30-30 Winchester cast 170 grain 309 caliber bullets to size them to that. And the 309 size die is installed in that die station that's down underneath that hex nut. Well, suppose we want to convert our operations from the 30-30, which is that left-hand bullet, to the next one down the line, which is a 452 size bullet for the 45 Colt, and that's a 255 grain round nose flat point. We can choose a nose punch, which is in that front row, that'll fit that 452 nose. And certainly you see that I've got 4 nose punches for semi-wad cutter bullets. All we have to do is choose the one that fits best, and then the next one's a round nose, and then the one on the end is actually for a 22 caliber Spitzer cast lead bullet. We're not going to use those, of course. But the problem with a nose punch is that the outside rim of the nose punch, if it doesn't fit the bullet, will leave a ring on your cast bullet, and that's what we don't want. I found a neat solution to that because I got tired of changing all these semi-wad cutter nose punches. So what I did was I just took one of the big ones and used a Dremel, and I ground down the outside rim until the entire nose punch was one flat surface, and then I polished it. And then I used that nose punch, what I call the Fortune Cookie Universal Nose Punch for semi-wad cutter bullets, and I installed that in the RCBS LUBE-A-MATIC 2, and so the nose punch you see there is my universal flat nose punch, and it'll work for the 30-30 bullet also because that has a flat nose. So all flat nose bullets can be done with a universal Fortune Cookie 45LC nose punch. Keep all my sizing dies, all my nose punches, all the tools necessary to make the change all in one box. And I never use those tools for anything else. So that keeps everything all nicely organized. So since we're doing the 452 255 grain round nose flat point, the next thing to do is to find the 452 sizing die. Now RCBS and Lyman sizing dies all fit interchangeably in RCBS and Lyman sizer lubricators. So this happens to be a Lyman sizing die, but it'll fit this nicely. I recommend that every time you change sizing dies, that you wipe off all the lube from the top of the die so that your indicator, which is the little number there, 452, is easily seen. If you have lube all over the top of this, when that lube cools, it becomes very hard to get off, and you gotta scrape it off and do a lot of work. So just wipe it off when it's warm, and all your dies will be easily identified later on when you want it, instead of having to deal with this crusted on, cooled, hardened. So now I have my handy Turbo Pro wrench, and you cannot make this change without the Turbo Pro wrench. So go out and get yourself a Turbo Pro. Well, actually, any wrench will do, right? Any wrench. So here we go. First thing we want to do is take off this hex nut. And I won't bother showing you how that's done because every time there's the nut taken off. Now this gives you a chance to use up your old hops number 9 that you don't use anymore, because I use Ballistol now, and put some hops number 9 and clean up this station because all that lube is stuck around there. So we'll just do that too. The smell of hops number 9 brings back lots of memories of days out in the field with friends shooting ground squirrels. And we used to take this rag and just kind of sniff it and pass out and all that kind of thing, and I'm surprised we survived all that. So to eject your die from the press, take any metal instrument, slip it between the bottom plate and the ram, and go ahead and run your die and eject your press like so. When you come back up to the top, you'll see your die is being ejected. And once you get at that point, you can just go ahead and work it out like that. So there's your die. Now there's lube inside this chamber where the lube from the reservoir is being forced into this area to go through the holes in the sides of the lubricator die. You don't need to clean in here, so let's leave that alone. So here's your new one. Just place it in, work it down. You can use the hex nut to help push that die down into your press, like so. Reinstall the nut. Now thumb pressure in the center helps you get it lined up until the threads catch. And once you got it, you're home. Now YouTubers, notice that I've deliberately put that bullet a little bit off center in the die. But notice how nicely the Fortune Cookie 45LC universal nose punch for flat nose bullets straightens that right out. Watch this. Do you see that? And then it goes into the die. So save yourself buying all those nose punches. You don't need a one that has all those outside flanges on them. As long as your bullet has a flat nose, you're fine. Now at this point, you got it to where you know that when you eject the bullet, that your grease goes into the grooves you want. Now YouTubers, on all of these sides of lubricators, the depth of the bullet going into the die is controlled by this apparatus here. So what you do is you loosen up this nut, and then you take this stem here and crank it in or out to get the right distance for the ram. And then you can also adjust the bottom plate to give you the contact where you want it, so that when you go to the bottom of the stroke, the bullet is where you want it for the grease grooves you want to fill. The way I do it is, after all these years of running these sides of lubricators, I can feel how far, and you have a lot of room to play with, so I actually know how far down that bullet goes, and I can do it by feel and also by visualization to know how far that bullet goes into the sides of the lubricator to get the lube into the proper grease grooves. So I don't even bother making that adjustment, but you can if you want to. Ouwhackemann and also STLAmmo Man. You guys have a nice day, and you YouTubers out there, take care. We'll see you next video. Bye for now.